It's Thursday, February 19th. Okay, let's start with the S&P. A day of pretty subdued day, leaning on the weaker side. It is notable that today's S&P candle is a very subtle hollow red reversal candle, leans bullish. I would note the 10 MA at 68.83, the 50-day at 68.94. I'm guessing we settle OPEX around 68.50. So my best guess is early tomorrow, we'll see a little bit higher and then cool back. If we're up 50, 60 points in the morning on GDP and PCE data, I would almost be inclined to short it. But my concern would be then if I'm short from, say, 6,900 or so, then maybe on Monday, that maybe we'll get up as high as 69.40, 69.50 briefly, and then roll over again. I mean, this is a rounded top, right? You draw a big line, a big curve. Anyway, and also note the 200 day. It's up now to 65.23. That'll soon be in purple gap in early March. All right, moving on. I mean, nothing to say about the VIX really, except for the fact that we are set for well, and we're actually net lower in the week, which is surprising, but we've been climbing broadly in the VIX since mid-December. We were in the 13s, 23s, a little bit of chop. And the question is, are we going to hyper spike above 23? Then you're looking at 28. It's above 28. Then you're looking around 45, around there. Volatility is picking up, and on a monthly chart, which I wasn't thinking about doing this, but yeah, I'll highlight monthly chart. Momentum on a monthly chart turned positive. It might not look like much, but this is really quite important. It's threatening a spike, especially in early March, right? Once we get a new candle for March, March the 2nd, what are we going to get? Get a hyper spike? Moving on. So let's just fly through a few individual charts. We'll cover gold and silver at the end. Apple down 1.4%. A lot of chop. Agnico Eagle up 1.7. American Eagle had a reversal candle. This is still a multi-week bear flag. First Majestic had good earnings, not surprised. 9.6%, so a little burst upwards. The issue now is can we break 2790? But that's not likely. If the main market reverses down, this is going to have to go down as well. AMD 1.6%. Yesterday had a hollow red reversal candle, I think. Anyway, not really important. Amazon, third day higher, but we're talking 7 cents. Subdued. Boeing, yeah, pretty significant daily drop, 2.2%. You can call this also a multi-week bear flag. So maybe we'll be down to 217 soon. And there is a gap. I need to mark that gap on the chart. But yeah, we have a gap down here. Like, what the hell? Let's just do it now. Let's just do it now. Let's just mark the gap on here. Why wouldn't I? Yeah. So that is a concern for March. You can even argue we have that little spurious spike there, but this is leaning. I mean, actually, I should change that to a because of that little spike. I'm inclined to make it semi broken, or maybe that one. Yeah, that'll do. Anyway, But yeah, the if the main market breaks lower, uh, Boeing's got to come down to 200 or so. Yeah. Don't care about the barber. Hollow red reversal candle for Bank of America. Bullish for Friday. Very subdued action in this. It's almost like a flatlining zombie. Caterpillar. 1.1%. Considering the main market today, that's quite good. Structure is a baby bull flag on the 10 MA. So we could be breaking a new historic high. Not tomorrow, but maybe on Monday or Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. If Trump mentions anything about an infrastructure bill, which I would admit is very unlikely on Tuesday's State of the Union, but if he did, this will be eight. This might make a push for 800, and that is a bull flag. That does lean bullish into next week. So this is one. I mean, this has been an incredible look. I mean, look at this, 263, incredible. It's almost tripled, right? Yeah. Kamiko up 2%. Not great. Coinbase 1%, but still struggling. Decker's just cooling back. The mouse down 1%. Again, this yellow gap is probably going to fill. I think this is going to fill in March. ET, black candle, short-term bearish. And the Google was down only a little bit, but you could argue we are setting up a bear flag on here. And then we break down and tag the 200 day, maybe in early March. Look, early March, 250. That looks possible. That's $50 down. That's 15%. 15%. That's a long way. There's a trade there. Home Depot down 1%. Earnings the next Tuesday. Heckler up 3.5. It was yesterday's candle was black and it did initially play out. And today's candle leans bullish for Friday. Intel trying to bounce off the 50-day. Joby trying to put in a short-term floor. But again, if the main you could tag teal gap on Monday, Tuesday, and then still reverse down to the sevens or the sixes. Depends on whether the main market breaks down into March. KKR down 1.9. And whilst I'm on KKR, let's have a look at Blackstone. Not pretty, right? Down 5.4%. And Blue Owl Capital, which of course a lot of people were talking about today, down 5.9%. Didn't take out the low from early February, but it's short-term bearish. All right, moving on. Where were we? KKR. Kinder Morgan, that might be a new historic high. I'm guessing it is. I will note that this one did floor, or I did see a bounce off the 200 day. Bullish for a day or two. But that red gap is begging to be filled in March. Microsoft, a lot of churn. I would admit this green gap is probably going to have to get filled. Also note that that black candle played out. Look at that black candle for 200 day. What a great earnings trade that would have been. Look at these. Look at these. Black candle. Black candle. Midterm double top. Down, down, down. Black candle on earnings. Gap filled. We have an upside gap to tag. I don't think we can tag this. Not if the main market breaks down. Netflix. Wow, that's not pretty, is it? 10, 1.3%. Short-term structure. Baby bear flag. on just solid gains, almost 3%. Occidental had mixed earnings, up 9.4%. And that does remind me about oil, which I guess I should look at now because otherwise I'm going to forget. I almost completely forgot about it. Okay, so on the day, oil was up $1.59, 2.4% to 66.78. We are pushing against resistance. Above 66, there's nothing until $70 from last July, and then 78 from June. Look at that candle. Incredible. But pulling out for some perspective on this, weekly chart, multi-week bull flag, bullish engulfing candle, bodes strongly powerful for a week or two. Soft target on this one is 75, and then the 78s going across here, 77, 78. On a monthly chart, kind of a hammer candle. Bollinger's offering 77, 78. Momentum is positive. This, again, this little block here is important. Bullish oil. Let's go back to Oxy. Pan American Silver, which had good earnings, up 5%. Palantir, down 0.4. Today's candle is a reversal, leans bullish for Friday. But I will note the Palantir's got to get a death cross next week. That will garner some attention from some people. A death cross is not one of my favorite technical signals, but whilst the stock is under the 200-day and the 50-day, the stock is clearly broken. PayPal bouncing, but horrible generally. Red Cat up 6. Transocean had earnings in after hours. I don't know what they were. Rocket Lab bouncing. SMR bouncing into the close. Target flat precisely. Tesla up 0.1. Take 2 catching a bounce. United Airlines, yeah, remember the transports are going to. If oil hyper spikes, the transports will suffer most of all. UPS cooling back a little bit more. Exxon up 0.2. Black candle, short-term bearish. What else I was going to highlight? Walmart. Yeah, so Walmart was down 3% in pre-market. It did open up though, up about 2%, but it did see a full downside reversal. So look at this. We had a bearish engulfing candle on Tuesday. Yesterday was down. Today's candle, bearish engulfing, down 1.4%. So bearish into the weekend. Next support, 121. And then we have the 50-day at 118. So it looks like they're going to want to test the 50-day. Probably not tomorrow, but maybe, probably next week we're going to be testing the 50-day around 120. So $4 or $5 downside, at least to test that. I will note again, and I highlighted it on Wednesday, momentum was going to turn negative, and negative it has turned. So we have a bearish cross, and that could, in theory, that could continue down all the way into late March. The longer term support, of course, is around the 200-day, 104, some 23% lower. All right, I should end off with gold and silver. I'll briefly actually look Bitcoin. Bitcoin's trying to bounce, but really it's pretty weak. Quick look at copper. Reversal candle leans bullish for Friday. Commodity gold, 24%, not very exciting now. Actually, we'll look at GOD on a daily candle, because sometimes you get black candles on GOD or SLV, but not on the commodity charts. No, nothing there. What about silver? Commodity silver was up $1.01, 1.3%, 78.61. Again, it's a mess, right? Let's look at SLV on a daily. The open was 70.68. We closed at 71.01. So not a black candle. We need to look at these candles. Very tight range. I mean, they're all basically not black, but they're little doji candles, which they're not great. I mean, I would be concerned. And I would admit that you get these candles, and there's one there played out. There's one that went up, but broadly, this is still not pretty. And I'm concerned that if the main market gets whacked, SLV is going to be coming down to close to 50 to 49. That's a long way down. That's 30% down. And you think about this, in theory, we could see SLV at $50 by mid-March. So I'm refraining from buying silver at this point. At some point, I'm going to get involved, but there doesn't seem any hurry right now. What do I want to conclude on? I must want to go back to the S&P. Yeah. So look, summary. Um, to be quite clear, in terms of geopolitical outlook, I do not think the attack on Iran will come this weekend. That's a bold assertion because I'm seeing a lot of other people saying it's going to happen this weekend. I don't think it will. I am I am therefore not currently, unless I change my mind tomorrow, I'm not currently planning to take any positions for the weekend in terms of a geopolitical event. No, I'm not intending to be long oil, gold, or short equities. I'm actually planning to just be flat. If I'm right, if nothing happens at the weekend and I'm right, equities will be inclined to go up on Monday. Oil will be very inclined to go down, and maybe gold. I wouldn't know how to call that. That's a tough one to call. But my guess is nothing happens this weekend. Oil down on Monday, equities up a little bit, nothing too much. Then of course we have the State of the Union on Tuesday, and my guess is that instead of this weekend, the attack will happen next weekend. Of course, it could happen during the week, could happen whenever Trump wants it to happen. It's up to him, whatever he wants to do. But my guess is next weekend. If I'm wrong, that means I don't make any money on the long oil trade, short equity trade. But all things considered, I can live with that. I can live with not making any money for for this particular trade cycle. But if I'm right, then that means I can buy oil cheaper next week, and I can short equities for maybe a little bit higher. So that's my for the record, best guess. And of course, we could wait. Friday evening, we could start hearing reports of explosions in Tehran or wherever, and then that's the end of that. And then the market will probably drop on Monday. Oil will probably spike, maybe 10, 15, 20% briefly. So many infinite variables. Nobody knows. I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. Not even Trump. In terms of the reactions of the market in the market. I don't know. But yeah, my guess is nothing this weekend. And again, we had that comment from Trump this morning, the Board of Peace, no less, that Iran has 10 days. So I'm kind of a little bit bemused the fact that some people are saying, well, it's going to happen this weekend. I'm like, I don't think so. But hey, look, we don't have long to find out, right? We're going to know. We're going to know either Friday night, early Saturday, and if nothing, then I would expect something next weekend. I wish that wasn't the case, but it does appear that all those chess pieces have been moved across the board for a reason. And from again, as a trader, you trade what it is, not what you want. So um, I'm planning to just do nothing on the belief, on my best guess that nothing happens this weekend. and will instead happen the following week. Anyway, without repeating myself again, I will wish you a good evening and expect a choppy OPEX. That's normal. That would be the default. Maybe up in the morning, maybe, and a little bit of cooling into the weekend, much like last week, right? Because of hey, there will be, you got to expect some cooling later on Friday because of natural concerns about what might happen at the weekend. Anyway, good night and have a good Friday.